hopefully this audio is a bit better. Right, sorry, I'm quite new to all this and it's not started yet. Sorry, I've got a real lag. I'm trying to test the audio out. Hopefully it's working now, but give me a few seconds while I check it. Right, sorry, I'm quite new to all this. It's not started yet. Okay, sounds like the audio's good, so let's get on with it. So, hi guys, I'm Darren, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the new SpeedyBee F405 V4 Stack, which has come out today. So when I get round to it, I'll put links in the video description where you can get hold of this if you like it. But we're going to head over to the workbench and take a look. Bear with me again, I may need to add the microphone. Right, so hopefully you can hear me now. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm having to look at a different screen for the chat, so please bear with me. But here we go. This is the SpeedyBee F405 V4 Stack. And the reason I'm excited to check this out is because I've had the V3 in this for ages and I've been really impressed with it. It's been a really nice flight controller, and it's a pretty low budget flight controller as well. Let me just get some, there we go. So yeah, the V3 stack is in there, but it's a bit blurry, but there we go. Right, so here we go, brand new in the box, and let's take a look. So first thing we get is a manual download card with QR code on it, which is quite handy. And here is the flight controller itself. So let's take a quick look at the new ESC. So this is 3S to 6S and 8-bit. This is running BL Heli S, which you can flash up to Blue Jay if you want to get all the bidirectional DSHOT goodness going on. That's actually what I did on this ESC. So maybe I should put autofocus on. Right, maybe we'll have a bit more luck now. Maybe not. So yeah, autofocus is doing nothing for me. Sorry about this, guys. Like I said, I'm pretty new to doing all this live stuff, so don't expect anything polished like Pavel does or anything like that. So there we go, manual is best. So yeah, under there you can see the original F405 V3 stack. And you can see that the 4-in-1 ESC doesn't have a heatsink or anything like that. It's just open, oh, I've completely forgotten the name. Open FETs, I should say, on the top. But the new version, we have this nice new heatsink to actually distribute the heat a bit better. So let's pull this out and take a quick look. So on the underside we have more FETs, we have a connector for connecting straight to the flight controller, and we also have the solder points there in case we do want to solder it. You can see confirmation there, this is running BL Heli S, but this is 5 amps more, well, rated for 5 amps more than the one in the original. So let's put this over to the side for a sec. So the flight controller itself looks very, very similar to the original, but there are quite a few upgrades. and I'll put an image somewhere that you guys can see, which actually lists all the upgrades. But I think like even the barometer, one sec, let's find out. I know for a fact, other than this, there are quite a few updates. So compared to the original, we have a better gyro, we have filtering on gyro as well, where it didn't on the original. We have LDO power for the gyro with 320% better surge protection. The issue if you're running this on INAV with DSHOT is not actually present on this board, but for an update, if you are running INAV and using the V3 board, when INAV 7 comes out, the DSHOT issue will go away on that one as well. But this one doesn't suffer from the DSHOT issue. So what else do we have? So most of it, the rest of it is pretty much the same, but just those few updates, it's quite a nice refresh. It still has all the benefits like the SpeedyBee remote Bluetooth app or Wi-Fi app. It's got the power indicators. We can still operate 9 or 8 motors on this, and I think there's a 9th pad for a servo as well. It's still a very nicely thought out flight controller. We still have the 4 individual LED pads for if you want them on your arms. So on the bottom we have, this end will be the pad for the 4-in-1 ESC. This end is probably, I'd guess, a DJI connector because it's got UART and S-Bus on it. Yeah, so DJI plug and play. It's actually got an SD card reader. It still has an analog OSD if you want to use that. So it's quite a nicely thought out chip or flight controller. This is of course running an ARM F405, hence the name. So you can see that there. But yeah, so as far as the sizing and everything goes, it's pretty much the same size as the original. It looks like the standoffs may be slightly thicker for the stack, just to clear that heatsink. But you know, I'd rather have the heatsink than not. Just give me a sec. I'm going to see what's going on in the chat. All right, so Elito, buddy, did you see the upcoming ban from China? I've read that some stuff might be banned, but I would take it with a pinch of salt until you actually see things get banned. I know that there's a lot of doom and gloom about it, but at the end of the day, all they're trying to do is stop things being sent to certain conflicts that are going on throughout the world. If there's any chance at all that these products aren't being used for that and they can demonstrate that to a certain level, they're going to sell them to people. At the end of the day, they don't want to tank their economy. They want to make money. If this is going to a hobby shop, they're going to sell it. I don't think there's going to be any real problems getting hold of things. Hi Addison, nice of you to join in. Yeah, I have the V3 too, as I've mentioned, and yet the DSHOT is the DSHOT problem. I can't remember which. Basically, it all boils down to timers and DMA. Basically, some of the motor outputs you couldn't actually run DSHOT on, so that was the problem with INAV. But there's been a change in the code, which I don't know if it's merged yet, but is going to be merged very soon, which completely changes how the DSHOT, the DMA and the timers stuff goes in INAV. So the DMA side is using a new system which actually fixes the issues on the old V3. I believe if you've got like a Maytech F405 TE, it also fixes it on there. So you don't have to worry about that with the next version of INAV. And also the timer thing means that there's much more flexibility for which pads have motors and which pads have servos. So there's some big, nice updates coming. So hopefully that will mean that you can still use your V3, but this one is also quite a nice option if you want an update. Evening, Ken. Right, so let's carry on and see what else we get in the bag. Well, the box. Right, so it's just a little pad in the bottom of it covering over everything. Sorry, I've just got to move the chat out of the way so I can see what's in shot. Right, so the last time I got one of these, the accessory pack was quite nice, and it's no different this time. So we get a nice 12 AWG cable, so that lots of current can go through that. So no doubt this is set up for 4S and 6S setups. So there we go. We get a couple of cables. One of them is, actually, is there two for the ESC? Let's get them out. Right, so that one's going to be for the ESC. That one's another similar size, but I don't really know what that plug's for. So no, that's going in the DJI plug. So that's going to be for your air unit or whatever. And this is another ESC size one, but it's really small. So this is just going to be for a very direct link between the two boards. Come on. Why is everything such a fiddle when it's live? Right. Yeah, so with this short cable, you're going to get some really neat builds. So that's actually pretty nice. Yeah, compared to, oh no, the original had a short one too. So, but yeah, it's a very nice, neat cable, but also a longer one for if you want to use a longer one, I guess. Maybe potentially you could separate these boards if you've got a really thin frame, so they can be sort of next to each other or in line. So I guess that's what the longer one is for. But anyway, we have our stack, we have some cables, we have our power lead, and we have this bag of accessories. So we have some rubber grommets, we have some spare standoffs, we've got a 1000 microfarad 35 volt capacitor with some heat shrink. We have bolts to go through the stack into your frame, another spare standoff, and some of these nylon. Yeah, but we have some bolts. So basically you have everything here that you want to put it into the frame. So unless anyone has any questions, I think we're going to wrap it up, because really what I need to do is get this built and into a frame. If you've used one of these boards before, the layout is the same as the V3 pretty much, and the V3 was an absolute joy to solder in. Everything was just in a nice place. You got the big connections here for the main power. It's got holes in it so you can put the capacitor in easily. You got nice numbering everywhere. It's on the actual board itself and on the heatsink, so connecting your motors is no problem. Where that's going to be in a frame, probably like that. Getting to the SD card in the side is easy. We have a boot button on the side again, so it's nice and easy to access. The opposite side we have USB-C. So that the actual layout itself is pretty nice. But let's see if I can get a close-up of the actual board, and so you can have a better look. Let's try and get it in focus more. Come on. Right, so unfortunately the focus isn't working too well. But as a brief overview, so we have this section down here with 9-volt ground, VTX, RX and TX S bus. So this is going to be effectively the DJI section, but you could also use it for any other sort of video transmitter setup. So you could put your video out, your power, your grounds, you've got smart audio potentially. S bus you don't really need if you're running a standard VTX, or walk snail you could put on here as well, or HD0, so plenty of options there. On this side we have 4.5 volt ground and a UART, so that could be good for just a GPS. We've also got clock and data up here, so if you want a mag, that's where the GPS would logically go. We have some LED pads which are going to be just mirroring what's on these, I guess. We have 5 volts battery, ground and 5 volts, so they're probably just some spare pads for using for accessories. And we've got a buzzer in and out right there. At the top we have our camera input, which also has a camera control there, so if you use Runcam cameras you can control some of them. At the top we have probably our receiver section, so we have a UART 4.5 volts ground, and we have a 3.3 volt there, and that looks like RS. Not sure what those two are really going to be used for, but this part here is going to be for your receiver. It makes the most sense. You've got a RX and TX reviews stuff like ELRS, Crossfire, Ghost, anything like that. There's also an S bus pad which is inverted for using with standard FreeSky. So next row down we have another UART, so that can again be used for anything you just want a standard UART for. There's no power with this one, so you'd probably need to branch down to this area here to get your power, but there's a ground, so you may just need that if it's powered by something else. Then you have the pads for motors 5 to 8. We have a telemetry wire, and we have S9, which you can use for a servo if you're using 8 motors, or these motor pads up here, certainly with INAV 7 you'd be able to use for servos as well. So oh, I'm just being stupid. I was looking for signal lines, but of course it's a 4-in-1 ESC. It just provides the power, all the signals done for motors 1 to 4 straight through there. Yeah, quad noob issues. But there we go. That is the SpeedyBee F405 version 4 stack. Let's keep it up there and focused. Taco FPV, if you sneeze on it, it breaks. That is really not what I found at all. Well, you can see the amount of dirt and crap on this quad. This has not been, yeah, there's stuff on the props. This has not been just like this prissy little thing that I just fly about carefully. I do crash. I've actually, one of my friends wouldn't take it for a flight until I'd crashed it, so I crashed it. And yeah, the V3 is in there still working absolutely perfectly. So no, I don't think there's an issue with these. I think if you've had a bad one, you may have just had a bad one. They've been pretty decent flight controllers as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. There's only so much I can talk about this flight controller, but I will get it in a quad and test it very soon. So thank you very much for joining me on this live. Sorry for it being really unprofessional, but I'm very new to all this live stuff. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to be with me. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and click the subscribe and bell icon to help get this out to more people so they can check out this flight controller too. I'll put some links in the description. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next one. Fly your models like you stole them and have fun.